Hey guys, it's your bear boy host Hito here today, and we are starting up lovely because my camera's not even on right now. So, hi. Hey,
Consummate professionalism.
constant. But yes, welcome on in, guys. I'm Hito Retro Gaming. I'm your bear boy host, and today we are doing LGBT representation in gaming. So, I have two awesome guests. Y'all know this. We always have two awesome guests just dropping on in and enjoying it. We're talking casually. So our first guest is Aaron, which if the fuzz on the screen could like behave itself, there we go.
Nah.
There we go. We're good.
It's
We
not
got
allowed to behave.
you are good. You're on.
Hey.
So Aaron, introduce yourself to the chat.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Gray. I'm a queer variety Twitch streamer on Twitch. What else do I do? I play video games and I write music and stories and stuff. I'm just a creative. Blah, blah, blah. I work in higher ed. Cool. So I will rant about college and school and how our entire education system is a nightmare. The end.
That sounds about right. Aaron Gray, everyone. Let's give her a round of applause with a pop-up clip that will go up right here of Aaron just crashing into people for some reason.
All right.
Oh, that clip is so old. That's from Watch Dogs.
Oh my
From
god.
2 years ago.
Oh jeez.
That was when my hair was long. Oh my goodness. That was before I fully embraced the non-binariness.
Next up, we got our representation from Shady Gaming. We have Lucy. Hold on. If this fuzz will just behave. There we go.
Say your name, talent. Hi, gay. Hi, I'm Lucy McGillicuddy, and I'm one of the hosts of Shady Gaming, a rotating cast of drag kings, queens, in between, because all drag is what? Valid. We have a Twitch here. We have a YouTube. That we do all sorts of other filthy things at. We are a 2-drink minimum. Adult humor show. As you could tell, because Lucy McGillicuddy, the word cunt in my name. You get what you pay for. And I see the rest of my time.
That's fair. That is valid. Also, let's see a clip from Shady Gaming side, aka let's see one from Lucy's side. Maybe it might not be Lucy, as we said before. It's going
to need audio because there's going to be some shrill harpy noises coming from us.
Shrill harpy noises. Are you sure though?
Hi, Nat Spectrum Uwu.
Mina. His name is Minase.
I'm very sorry I'm late, Minase. I had to attend a student council meeting this morning. Did you write this note?
They put a
that's
17-year-old
before
girl
we
on
got our
Ritalin
overlay.
and said, talk.
Like I said, they will always grab clips from a random time, and you wouldn't really see it going. So, do you guys want to talk about something gay?
Hi, gay, yes. Is my dad here?
All right, so when we always start off, I always want to ask the question, at least to start off, what was your first video game character that unlocked that awakening inside you for a second? That is the first
honey.
one.
I know. I can pinpoint the exact moment that this happened to me. That not only made me gay, but also a furry. It's called Breath of Fire.
Wait a minute.
Both bow and ox, especially when you cast spells as them. Holy shit, the detail they put on their buttocks when they cast a spell is like, BAM! Cheeks! And then enemies die from lightning bolts or whatever.
That's just the bonus right there. The enemies die, but, all of this is right here.
I'm not sure what mine would be. I have a feeling it's probably the first game of Life is Strange. Because, Max, Chloe, they kiss. They do the kissy thing.
But is it Chloe, though?
Probably more Chloe than Max, let's be honest. Yeah, because I was into that a little bit in high school. But I did cosplay as her. I did not go to senior prom. We had geek prom my senior year because my entire friend group was not going to prom, and I cosplayed as Chloe. So I think that might have been the awakening. Perhaps.
That'll do it though. That'll absolutely do it. So first off, I want to thank Mikon for the sub. Thank you. I was not ignoring you. We just started and you wanted to break me already, and we just started already. I'm already loose. Leave me alone. Y'all broke me too much already. But as we continue, so my awakening, funny enough, wasn't just from like a video game, it was also an anime too. Kind of happened, but Leomon exists for a reason. Again, also turned me into a furry in a way. Leomon exists. Leomon is a champion level Digimon that is shirtless, pecked up, wears jeans, and that's it. Carries a sword, lion mane, and probably some earrings like on one ear, which I think was like at the time when we were younger, they would say that putting an earring on a certain ear would symbolize that you were gay. It was just like, okay, we get it. So I'm pretty sure he had the earring on that thing, and then you know what? The beast within became aroused. So there you go. That was what happened. Like legit, Leomon exists, and you know what? Just for reference, let's actually look at our characters, at the ones that we have. So first things first, could you imagine this coming out of nowhere and just like protecting you out of nowhere? By the way, I hate the fact that. Okay, hold on. Why aren't you cooperate, please? Thank you. Thank you. I hope nothing NSFW pops up on the Google search. That would be really tragic.
I do.
But yeah, could you imagine this just saving the hell out of you every godforsaken time? Freaking carry you off too. Just like, okay, we're protecting you now. That's how this works.
Am I not supposed to do that? I thought I was.
And also, I was jealous of her. It was like, God damn it.
Lucky fucking bitch.
It was like, God damn it. Why you gotta get the good one? Jesus.
Who is this gentle stranger with pecs like melons and knees of fringe?
No. But apparently, because of the fact that they're Digidestined, they have to have a partner Digimon, and this was hers. Funny enough, and I'm like, you got the one that always dies. God damn it. So I hate the representation of Leomon, which is he's the fallen hero. So every time that you see him appear, he dies sacrificing himself to save someone. And I'm just like, God damn it.
The good old Jean Grey special, I see.
It's always just, he dies. The end. Now, we're going to look up Bo and Ox, because we have to at this point. Like, we have to.
I mean,
Like,
he's wearing jorts. I mean, are you kidding me?
he's wearing shorts. There's fringe at the end of it too. Like, it's all there. You can't miss it.
Cutoffs, Linda.
And then there's Bo. Lucy's just staring dead into it right now, just like,
Bitch, I ain't ashamed.
like, yeah, this is the one that did it for me. This did it. Also, Ox's close-up. Like, a close-up art rendering of Ox. There we go.
Such a boopable snoot.
Always
I boop that snoot.
always boop that snoot. Now, I know we don't need to see a picture of Chloe Price, but we want to see a picture of Chloe Price.
But we
'cause
gotta. We're
like,
legally required to.
We're legally required to. There you go. Look at this.
Wow, my girl.
She's voiced by one of my favorite voice actresses, funny enough.
Well, they changed voice actors for the second game, or for the Before the Storm game.
Yeah.
They changed her voice actor, and I was mad.
Because, like,
I was
Yeah.
Sag.
Sag.
I was Sag.
I can't count how many times the voice actors for my favorite characters in Final Fantasy XIV changed, but, you know, here we are.
That's fair. I mean, Ashley Birch was perfect, though, for Chloe. Like, it was a not give a fuck attitude that we needed. And
Yeah.
because Chloe gave a fuck beforehand when she had brown hair, we had to add a character that basically had a stick up her ass. I don't know. Like, everything mattered, everything offended her, everything got... You know what I mean?
Oh,
We
yeah.
are legally required to have one tsundere.
This was it, though. This was the tsundere. This was the one. All right. So, next question, which is gonna go into something now. A game that now, what was the first game that you realized that there was LGBT representation and you loved it? And I know for a fact Aaron's probably gonna say Life is Strange again. Maybe.
Yeah. Because that was really like that was really when I started getting into gaming. Because Pokemon and Professor Layton, as far as I'm aware, doesn't really have... That isn't a thing in their games. And that was really all I played, because I only really had a Nintendo DS and then a Nintendo 3DS.
Are you a boy or a girl?
Boy. I was always a boy. Always. And mainly because my friend from Martial Arts who got me into Pokemon to begin with told me that the boys get better shit first than the girls. And I was like, okay, that seems reasonable. I'll be a guy. And then like I eventually was like, yeah, I dig the style. I mean, I was always a tomboy. So like, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be like frilly and have long hair. And then lo and behold, here I am shaving half my like 10 years later. But I didn't really get into PC gaming until senior year of high school. So like Life is Strange was one of those initiation games that I played. So that was one of those, but also was the first game that I knew had LGBTQ plus representation in it.
I'm going to date myself here and say Poison from Streets of Rage / Street Fighter, Cross Tekken, and all that jazz.
/ Final Fight.
/ Final Fight, yeah. I mean, that's... yeah, it was problematic originally when it came out, but then, like, finally, a Japanese company embraced it and, like, went whole ham on Poison, like, no, being a badass trans icon and unapologetic. The Nintendo and Birdo take fucking notes.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I'm going to hate you for this because I don't like thinking about Dragon Age, but technically, I guess Dragon Age, when you can date Zevran, I guess was like the first. Oh, I'm literally only getting this game so I can be gay. The only reason I got that game was to be gay. That was my intention, and I went gay.
I mean, it sold really well, though. To be fair.
But look how it's fallen. I'm not excited for... We're being threatened with Dragon Age 4. I don't care. Inquisition was a slog fest for me. Though big Canary dick... the plus.
Talking about dicks now? What?
Specifically that. Yes, absolutely. Listen,
Freddie Prince Albert Jr. coming to the party.
I am perceiving.
I just want you to think of some giant minotaur creature just manhandling you in some way.
Listen.
How do you live y'all's
I don't
life?
want to say anything too TMI right now. I do not.
I do. Blast my ass, daddy. Sorry, I mean, I'm a top. Technically, I'm a drag queen top, so I'm a blouse.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I've never heard that before. All right, okay.
I stole that from Detox.
Love that.
And I believe someone else stole that from Detox too on Drag Race recently. But
I
yes.
need to watch that show.
Speaking of, I'm just going to plug myself here, not in that way. This wig was actually made by someone who allegedly, theoretically, will be on the next season of Drag Race. Just kick that name up, and I'm going to milk it for all it's worth.
Hey, listen, go for it. Milk it. Milk it like the cow. Milk it like the edgy.
Milk it like that Minotaur we were thinking of.
Yeah. Milk it like the one sub in the basement. There you go. Anyway, next.
I should call him.
Moving on.
I should call it.
And stream's over.
Stream's over. We're banned. That's it. We're done. I'm just kidding.
I did it!
But all right. So next, wait. So the game that I the first game that I realized that had LGBT representation, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year-Old Door with Vivian.
Oh.
So here's the thing. I know Birdo was a thing. However, Nintendo was heavily trying to hide that behind a 10-inch wall. So Vivian came, and boy, did she came. So in most of the translations, we had a different version for it. So, for example, in the Japanese version, she is a boy. In the American version, she is a girl. And in the Italian version, she is a boy trying to become a girl. So the Italian version actually gave us what we wanted, as opposed to Japan trying to keep it binary and America keeping it binary. But then I also wish we could have gotten Mother 3 in the States, because then we could talk about the Magypsies and what they were capable of, which everyone finds, apparently a lot of people find the Magypsies very offensive. I'm like, the Magypsies are basically non-binary people living their best life, and they're not trying to get themselves involved into stupid shit that's happening. That's kind of like, I'm a non-binary person, but I'm minding my own fucking business. That's it. But yeah, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year-Old Door was my, oh, there's some LGBT representation right here. So, as we're talking about this, we're gonna go into the dating sim genre here for a sec.
Oh,
No.
Which game that had dating sim elements did you wish allowed you to actually date the opposite gender?
Do you mean opposite gender or same gender?
Well, same, yes, same gender. I have to use, listen, I didn't get my bachelor's, I'm sorry.
I'm not mad at you. I was just asking for clarification.
I don't know science.
It's okay.
I mean, I can cheat and say the only the porn game I'm playing now. I mean, not now. I put that away. But Robin Morningwood comes to mind.
Wait, that's the
I'm
name?
not making this up. It's a real game. I got it on itch.io. I supported it.
Okay.
Because I don't really do dating sims, unless we're counting Mass Effect 2, which is the only reason I played the game was to get in Garrus's pants and get calibrated by him. Don't at me.
This is fair.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Lucy here. I don't play a lot of dating sims.
Oh, this is also not including like just dating sims themselves, games that have dating sim elements in it as well.
Yeah, that's also where I'm struggling to finding something. Or okay, I guess I'm pulling out the Steam library now. I guess we're doing that because I really don't remember anything.
Have you never persona'd?
I've never persona'd.
Oh.
I've never Mass Effected. I've never persona'd. Okay, that's a question that isn't for me.
Well, technically speaking, if Aaron personas, it's always a same-sex relationship, technically. Technically
speaking.
Literally every Harvest Moon before the newest one comes to mind. Hi, Jasm.
That actually that's actually a very bold one, because the GameCube one comes to mind when I think about that, and I wanted to date some of the men.
I mean, the cowards won't let me fuck my villagers in Animal Crossing, so...
Oh, goodness.
Aww. I mean, it happens way too often now, doesn't it? I guess I could go in with mine for the time being while Erin like streams through the millions of games in her Steam library.
I only have like 300, shush, and like a 200 more on my wish list, shush.
But big one for me, Fire Emblem. After when Awakening came out and we were able to start actually marrying people, they only gave us like one or two choices for the chance of us to actually date the opposite side. And I get that, because, you know, not everyone's gay, not everyone's, like, no one's into, like, same-sex relations. Like, you know, there's going to be a majority of straight people to, like, the one or two bisexual people and stuff like that. And I get it. But do you know how many times I wanted to fuck Raphael or Vake or any one of the other big dudes that are on my team for some reason? They do not want to give me that option. It pisses me off. I didn't want to go out with
It's
Niles.
homophobic.
Like it's yeah, it hurts. It hurts. Okay, like
You just get listen. For every 5 twinks, you need at least one daddy bear option.
exactly.
Valid.
But even more so on that, a way to think about this, I would have to, in order for me to date the men, I would have to play as the female counterpart of the game. Which I'm not gonna lie, Three Houses, it was worth playing the female counterpart because you know what, I got to look really hot. I'm not gonna lie, I told myself, if I somehow if I was born a woman, I would wear this. I would actually wear this. Look, she's a professor, by the way. But would you not wear those? Would you not wear these stockings right here? These damn freaking stockings right here and rocking it.
No, because they're not rhinestoned.
They're not- you can rhinestone.
That's valid.
It works.
That's
it's fine.
valid.
You can rhinestone it.
I've seen what goes into rhinestoning. I would rather kill myself.
That's fair. That's fair. But I will say, I want to be a teacher and just walk in with them and be like, okay, guys, I'm your new professor.
I mean, the closest I've done is walking into class in a kilt and teaching.
And teaching.
Oh, I'm a professor.
Oh.
I'm legally required to mention it.
Oh.
No, I'm
That's
kidding.
fair.
It's an inside joke between me and my fans. Did I mention I'm a professor?
Did we mention? Listen, we have to take the 5 seconds to remind you that Lucy is a professor. No questions asked.
We have to take the 5 seconds to remind everyone that I am an academic advisor.
And we had to take a moment where I was at one point a baseball coach for children and after school coach.
Cool.
Yeah, oh no, it wasn't. I had this. Listen, I had gremlins. Okay, I did not need gremlins today. Hey, some gremlins.
College.
Aaron, have you scrolled down to Dream Daddy yet?
I have not played Dream Daddy yet. That is
Same.
indeed in my library that I indeed need to stream at some point. But I indeed need to finish the prologue to Cyberpunk. Because we've done 4 streams now, and apparently I am not prologue yet for some ungodly reason. Unless if I am technically out of the prologue. But no one has told me I'm out of the prologue.
When Keanu Reeves shows up, that's when you're out of the prologue.
My friend told me the prologue was after that. Or it ended after that.
That's not
He's my
really.
ex. Okay, so that makes sense. He's just being a butt. Alright, that's fine. I'm gonna have a long chat with him later.
just
Be
talk
like,
about
hey, buddy. Anyway.
You said.
So 2 thoughts came to my head. One was when I played the Honey Pop games, and sure, it is a male protagonist chasing females, but part of me wished could it be reversed? Could there be a male option where you play as a male, or a female option where you play as a female chasing men? And then the second thing came to my mind, because of course I gotta drag Detroit Become Human into this because Connor beloved. Do not check the cloud status right now. Stop it. So originally there was supposed to be where you had the option to make Marcus bisexual, or leaning one way or the other for 2 love interests. One being North, which actually ends up happening in the game, which is the male love interest. But they scrapped the Simon love interest, and that made me really angry because North is hot. North is hot. But her personality sucks. She's such an awful match for Marcus, and Simon is just standing there. And he looks fantastic. And he's great. Why couldn't they just, made it a choice and made it one of the choices? Because if you don't know, Detroit Become Human is a branching narrative game, and it's heavily a branching narrative game. Why couldn't Quantum Dream just do that? Make it happen. Make it so. I don't know. So it's not necessarily a dating sim, but because I've scrolled through my thing twice, and it's the closest thing I could find to where I was I wish I could make the choice to have either one.
To be fair,
There's my rant for the day.
to be fair, oh my god. To be fair, playing Heavy Rain was another thing for me, and which is another creative from, Detroit Becoming Human.
Oh yeah, I just bought that game from the Steam Summer Sale. I'm excited to play it.
I'm having to risk the urge to start screaming, Sean!
Jason. I listen. I listen. I ripped that whole scene to shreds. Okay, I got so mad because I'm like, if you're worried about your son, I would move faster. I would be shoving people out of the way. Why are you walking at such a leisurely pace? Do you want your son to get lost? I'm sorry. Did you not care?
It's okay, you had a burner child anyway.
But yes, exactly. And then the burner child almost died too. Hi, Sean. But yes, whatchamacallit. So, here is another question. So there's another game that I'm going to go into about that, and we're going to go into a few indie titles, because this is what I enjoy about, like, indie titles. They don't hesitate on adding these same-sex relationships. They do not hesitate. Or adding the representation for that matter. It works really well altogether. So, what is one indie game that you know that has really good LGBT representation?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Aaron. I keep talking over any of you. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. So I don't know how are we defining indie? That is my first question.
Because technically, you could say that Deadly Premonition and Deadly Premonition 2 are indie games. They don't really have a AAA studio backing them, but they are so heavily in the zeitgeist, a lot of people wouldn't call them indie games. They would be like somewhere in between indie and AAA.
So it'd be like, just because it's developed by, for example, just because they're on the Switch or on the PS4 or on the Xbox or on Steam, if they're not backed by, like, let's say, one of the heavy, well-known gaming companies, like, let's say they're not published by Nintendo or Square Enix or Atlas, Sega, etc., then they're considered they're considered indie.
Okay. Then I'm in a bit of a pickle again. Because the one I was gonna say is Tell Me Why, which is a short little diddy doodad, developed by Don't Nod, who's the developers of the Life is Strange series, published by Xbox Game Studios, which I was not surprising, I was surprised by. But what makes it's the first game that I've played, that I've come across, that you play as a transgender male character. And like because I knew nothing about the game going into it, so when that, like, because they don't tell you outright that he's trans, they just, like, you explore his room, you look around, and then, like, you put the piece together, like, oh, he's trans. Okay, so this is a, like, not necessarily coming of age, but, like, I've only played, like, the first chapter of 3, so I don't know the full thing of what's happening, but you kind of see, like, his past and how he learned and transitioned a little bit, and it's the first game I've ever played that had an openly trans character who's open about it, and where you actually see the hardships that come with being transgender. But now seeing it's backed by Xbox, or it's published by Xbox, which just shocks me. Like, hello, who are you?
That'll do it.
And even Life is Strange has an indie feel, even though it's by fucking Square Enix.
All of their games are very good.
Because I don't play
the representation.
I actually don't play a lot of indie games, especially if they are indie queer stories, because so many indie queer stories focus on just the trauma aspect, like the sad gays TM. And we should move past that. We queer people are more than just our trauma. I think it's time that we be allowed to be more than just sad, traumatic characters walking through a psychological mind maze in a small indie game. I can do that in real life. I don't want that in my games because I want to escape that.
Yeah. Gaming is very much an escape.
But I will say, The Missing, because I'm a simp for sweary. Deadly Premonition 2, The Missing, all the missing is a tale of coming to terms with trans identity and self-harm. It's just a beautiful beautiful and dark and violent platform puzzler.
Is this the cover, by the way?
That's her, officer.
All right, I'm definitely adding this to my wish list now.
And Deadly Premonition 2 got a lot of flack for its one of its villains, who I think I stan and I defend the character Lena in Deadly Premonition 2. She is revealed to be trans, and part of it is due to like her abusive family, molestation. She comes with a lot of trauma, and like instead of like being like sad gay TM, she goes, no, I'm gonna bring all these fuckers down, even if it kills me, and just goes on like a revenge, spit on your grave style massacre of these hoes. And like even when you have to arrest her, like, no, I feel you, bitch. I'm on your team, but still murder.
That's fair. It's kind of like looking through Primrose's whole entire backstory in Octopath. Whole revenge.
But there
thing.
is a problematic scene where she is dead named. So
Yeah, that really does like legit get you. Welcome back. You missed us thirsting over hot characters. There you go. But other than that, so my game, which I actually enjoy this. So my lovely friend and our last guesses of the LGBTQIA from last year, Miss Mango and Kari Cat, got me into a game called Eichenfell, where we have openly non-binary characters in the game. And mind you, it's not about their sad, depressing lives or them being treated like crazy. Although there are times that some people mistake, let's say Rook as a boy when he will literally go, I'm non-binary. But he still goes by the he, him pronouns and they, them as well.
same.
So all in all together, we have Rook. We also have I keep forgetting her name, but god damn it. It starts with an I. Because it's been a while since I played it. It's not Iman. I was like, I mean, Jesus. Okay, so we have a character. She does a lot of art attacks. All of her attacks are basically like spectrums of the rainbow with her coloring attacks and stuff like that. And she goes by the Ima, yes, thank you, Nat. Oh my god, I was about to say Iman and I forgot there's no N. But yes, Ima goes by Zer, which is the Xexir, and the characters, it's a part of their identity, but it's not a part of their tragedy, or it's not a part of the story as a narrative for their tragedy. It's just like, hey, I'm a witch that can cast color spells. I'm a non-binary person that casts dark magic, etc., etc. But I'm also non-binary too. It's not a part of the story to like go through their trauma. It's just who they are, which is very respectable.
Well, even as far as what was it? Ultima 3, the original, not the NES. The original, like, Apple II, whatever version, when at character creation, you had 3 gender options, male, female, other.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that never got integrated into the NES version of the game, where gender was tied to your character class.
Yeah, definitely. All in all together, like, that's kind of why I enjoyed Eichenfell, because it's a really good game. It goes into just the main story of Marit trying to find her missing sister in this whole entire crazy thing. She knows her sister was a trained witch, but she was never born with the ability. It goes into mainly Marit's story of like, I can become a witch. I am able of doing this. I'm able to start doing that. It's kind of more of her side of the story of becoming a witch, instead of going into just the tragedies of why this person's non-binary and let's show the struggle bus through it, by all means. It's actually an escape. I'm playing as the character, that's their identity, and that's it. It's the escape that we actually want in a game. Another game, the other two, the second one that goes into it would be Stardew Valley, honestly, because you get to take,
Yes.
like, Stardew Valley's the big one where it's like, it's Harvest Moon, but better and inclusive.
Like, it's almost weird because of how prolific Stardew Valley is to still think of, oh yeah, it's technically an indie game.
Like, Undertale's still an indie game, no matter how many times people look at it funny. It's like, you do know Undertale's an indie game too, right? And they're
Stands Undertale, yeah.
like, and Undertale's another one of those indie games that went into sexuality as well, with Undyne and Alphys. Not to mention the many other things that go into each of the characters as well. There's a lot of things going on. Hell, the main character is non-binary. And not once do you question their not once you question their identity, because the game is not about that. It's about trying to leave this area, and that's it. I think that's what more games should try to at least incorporate. Like, yeah, this character has an identity. Let's milk their tragedies instead because of their identity. Just no. Because that's kind of like what South Park and the Butthole Fracture did, where they made basically, if you were a dark-skinned character, that the difficulty of the game would go up, which was ridiculous, because we're not trying to live that life.
But that was actually kind of a spot-on criticism. Like, yeah, it's privilege.
So that's kind of the thing where it goes on. I mean, like, yes, we look for video games to escape, but at the same time, also, it's kind of also a slap in the face. Not a slap in the face, but it's kind of a wake-up call when you see things like that in a video game, too. Because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, we get it. We understand now. So that's one of the bigger things I like to see in sometimes videos. Do you like some? So that goes to my next question, actually, and that goes into this part. What situation? Give me a moment, because Erin's on a call. I want to be respectful. I get when she's ready, she'll give me a vocal cue, and I'll just put her camera on. But yes, as I was saying, what games do you feel like can actually awaken understanding a struggle of, like, let's say, someone's identity or sexuality?
It depends on the person's, I don't know, predilections. Like, all my life, I've been hypersexual. And so, like, a character that I find attractive and can just click with, like, the Breath of Fire one was like when I was like 11, 12 years old, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not straight, and I'm definitely probably a furry, and even though I didn't know what the word furry was. I think awakenings are so subjective, there's no way to actually quantify it, or say, like, this trigger will work for this group of people or this person, or it will awaken something. Whatever little thing is going to awaken you if you have it in you, regardless. But other than that, I guess any game where you can romance a character and, like, oh, I romanced a dude. What's it say about me?
I can definitely agree with that one. But all in all together, I just, like I said, mostly getting into these awakenings, they're very strong when it comes down to it. Erin, any comments on the question that was just asked?
I don't know what the question was asked because I just put my headphones back on.
All right, gotcha. But I will ask it again. So what do you think is an important thing when it comes to finding out your awakening? Because remember how I asked the first question about, like, what was your awakening into finding out your identity, et cetera, in a game? Mm-hmm. Well, what are some things that you can say actually subjects to an awakening. Lucy, as they said before, which was it's very subjective because what will necessarily work for one person will not work for another.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I think identity plays a role into like when you sit down to watch a piece of media, regardless if it's a movie, TV show, video game, a novel, even, or any written piece of literature, I guess, fan fiction included. I think it's important to have that representation in terms of like being able to relate to that character and being able to see yourself as that character. Because yeah, in 12th grade of high school, when I was 17, I did not have short blue hair. I wasn't the fuck you attitude that Chloe had, but in Chloe. And regardless if that's the lesbian-ish, the woman-loving woman side of it, or maybe it's the rebelliousness that I almost wanted in my life, like I saw something in her. And of course that was not like the start of my awakening. I'm pretty sure I was bisexual before 12th grade of grade school, but like I saw something in me in her relationships and how she was things. So I think like it's important to have a wide range of characters like across all media so that so that people could just like find characters that they can relate to and they can see themselves like, oh my god, they look like me, they act like me, they talk and think like me. I think that's important when crafting or even just playing a game and being able to relate to a character, because like my friend always, because like we play all the Phoenix Wright games we've been playing through, or the ones that are available on PC at least, and like he always gets jokingly frustrated with me like I want to throw Maya Fey under the bus. And it's like, I don't relate to her character. I have no emotional attachment to her. So why should I care if she gets put in prison for the third time? Because I don't care. So I think it's like that. Like you want to have an emotional attachment to the character. Having a bit of that character like reflected in you naturally makes you more wanting to be like that character, or like happy and like being able to explore a little bit. I don't know. I kind of rambled there.
Nat Spectrum in the chat had a really great point. Like the Sims 4 in particular, just like you have infinite possibilities.
Okay, but that's also like I have choice paralysis. Like even me just sitting down to play a video game is like I will sit there for 15 minutes and I'll know like 3 games I want to play. Satisfactory, watch Cyberpunk, and I'll sit there for 15 minutes like I have no idea what game I want to play. And then I'll move on and do completely something else because I'm so. So when I sat down to play The Sims, I can't make a custom character. Oh no, I have to base it off of another character from a different franchise because my brain stops working. There's too many possibilities, and my brain just like, nope, you can't do this. But I do see Nat's point. Like, it does give you just be whoever you want to be. Barbie girl.
Yeah, like that's a big one for me when it comes to simulation games as well. It's like, hey, can I do this? The whole point of a simulation game, especially on bringing up Sims as a good thing, is the whole point of a simulation game is that way we can simulate basically a better life. Half the time I say like a better life than what we have half the time when you think about it. Like, yeah. For example, in The Sims, I can pretend I don't have lots of debt because I spent it all on video games or food. No, I can just sit here and burn a house on fire because I feel like it. I can't do it in real life because, you know, that'll get me arrested.
Arson.
Whatever that is. But in Sims, I can get away with it with no problem because now I have this slight god complex of being in a simulation game where I can control everything. And that's kind of a good barrier when we think about it when it comes to gaming like that. Like, we just want to have at least some control or some form of identity in the game and do all of that. in the instance. So honestly, in The Sims, I would like to have people who can just date whoever the fuck they want. And that's it. I want characters to be who the fuck they are. And if they piss me off in some way, I'm going to probably remove the ladder out of the pool while they're in there, because I can.
Yeah, they're free will, but they have limits set by us.
Not by us, just these are the questions. These are the questions, these are the answers.
Oh,
and this is the
you
life.
can right-click those hoes into oblivion.
Just right click. All right. So, here's a fun one. Which game that you enjoyed but didn't realize that there was LGBT representation till the very last minute?
Probably Undertale. I think I knew, because like also this was in my dark era of like junior senior of high school, which was also my awakening, kind of at the same time. Because I, like, as we mentioned before, like you look at Frisk and they're a character. They're not a man, not a woman, a character. And that's all I saw Frisk was a character, was me in the game, essentially. Like, they had motives, they had objectives, but they were just a character. And, like, I never really looked at it more than that. And I didn't at the time know what non-binary was, because, like, sure, I came from a very wealthy school district. We didn't really have, and of course this was 2015, so, like, still not where we are today in 2022. And I didn't know what non-binary was. I don't even know learned what it was until I was like knee deep into college. But like at some point I probably picked up on like, oh, they're ambiguous. They don't have a gender or like associated with them because they're simply a character. So that was probably the game for me. And it probably, even like after I had played through the game, like the neutral run and the pacifist run and like partway through a genocide run, was when I learned about this or like realized like, oh, I see what they did there. I was not the brightest bulb in the shed.
Sharpest tool in the shed.
Or that.
Initially, I was going to say I might be a little too old for this question because when I was gaming, originally, I was gaming since I was 5 years old, and I'm 37 now. You do the math because I don't do math.
Valid.
And like they just didn't really include LGBTQ elements in any game really, unless you like get like really obscure PC titles for adults. It's like the mainstream console games just weren't doing it. But then I recently think of just last year's Haunted PS1 demo disc. I get like halfway through looking at the game, like, oh, queer. This is definitely a queer story now. Oh, I did not know that. So yeah, the Haunted PS1 demo disc. I'm like, oh, this is almost oops, all queer devs, and I love it.
So I have 3.
Okay.
There's a
I'm
reason. The first one, which before I actually go into my 3, I want to just bring up something that Nat brought up. Final Fantasy VII was too young at the time to realize how queer the wall market section was, for better and for worse. Lots of stereotypes abound. However, I will admit that Square at the time, when Final Fantasy VII first came out, there was definitely a lot of stereotypes. But the remake that we got actually mended it a lot better.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, like, you can hear, like, the half gay in me going, yeah. Like, I was losing my mind when I was, like, looking at literal Cloud just voguing and going ham. And then the thing that Andrea says, which is, beauty is not bound by one specific gender. And I was like, I love this! I love this!
And even later, when you're rescuing Tifa, and Tifa goes, "Cloud, that dress." He goes, "Yes, I know. I'm rocking it. Let's move."
that was the best. That was literally the best. Like, yes, I know. I'm on point. Thank you. And I'm like, add a snap to that, and that's it. Just Cloud came off really bitchy, but great. Just, yes, I know. Yes, I know. I'm killing it. Thank you. Anyway, let's focus on the mission at hand. But yes, like, I just want to say that I am, like, mind you, I want to take that example of Square Enix actually learning, our stereotypes in the last game of the previous game that we just made was bad. Now, we know better. And
now we just need Atlas to do the same thing with Persona.
Oh, please. Like, mind you, Yusuke clearly was... I literally, from Persona 5, you would think that they learned and did a lot better because, technically speaking, Yusuke pretty much came off bisexual. Or pansexual, actually, because he didn't care what form beauty came in. But we didn't get that, so I was kind of like, well, fuck, okay. Also, I just killed a fly, sorry. Like, I had that moment of punch this.
Now Peter's going to protest this podcast.
Oh, no. They'll be like, the flies, they're fine. They feed frogs. Frogs are more
Hey,
animals.
there's still a view.
Yep. But yes, that's why I respect about Square Enix, at least. Like, they saw their stereotypes, and then they modernized it. They understood. They did their research, and there we go. But my 3 game choices for games that I did not realize had queer representation in it. First one is Chrono Trigger. So, if I remember correctly, there is a trans character in Chrono Trigger that goes by the name of Flea. And within that whole situation, Flea is essentially... Okay, it's the same thing with Vivian, essentially, where they've done the translations, where they've swapped up the gender because of translations. Like, Japanese version had its whole thing, and then English version just straight out fixed it. So... I found out really late in the game that Flea was a representation in Chrono Trigger that was not really well done, but was a representation, sadly enough. The next one was Celeste, which is another indie game that came out, which, any of you seen Celeste? Let me actually show the cover, if anything. If any of you have not seen it quite yet. What the hell? Okay, there we go. But have any of you seen this beautiful background?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Let me zoom in. Let me enhance. Oh god, it's pixelated.
I myself haven't played it, but I've seen others play it.
I've heard of the game, never seen the background though.
So, Celeste stars Madeline within it, and mind you, you're playing through the whole game with Madeline. Madeline's going through her own, like, inner discovery, climbing the mountain, so to speak, to basically go through whatever her past trauma is. And Celeste in itself is a really good game, but you don't find out till the end that Madeline is vaguely, because I'm gonna use this word loosely because it was vaguely, that Madeline is trans. Because when you go to the end and you see the end of her cabin, you see a trans flag in her cabin. Specifically there. So it makes you think that all the stuff she was struggling with already had to do with probably her identity, hence why she was climbing the mountain.
Interesting.
And so that's the fun little nugget of truth right there that I liked about. So you don't find out that that she's vaguely trans until the end of the game. So that poses a very interesting thought in my head where it's like, so, see, if you knew she was trans, would you still have played the game or would you still have enjoyed the game a lot better? Would it have made a difference if you didn't know she was trans? Do you catch that? Do you catch that, like, very pop of the question right there?
Mm-hmm.
Most people would look at the game and be like, oh, she's a beautiful girl, play through it, and that's it. No questions asked. But if you paid attention to the flag there, you're like, wait a minute, she's trans? It kind of sparks that controversial light bulb in your head where it's like, I played a trans woman. You have those random people that'll get really stupid and dumb about it and ignorant about it for no reason. And
does this make me trans now?
Like that's basically it. Like that's the mindset. That's literally the mindset.
The answer is yes. By the way, let the parade begin.
Oh no. Now hold on a sec.
Oopsies. Sorry.
Oopsies.
Family, welcome to the family, son.
But all in all together, like, that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, it didn't, that's the whole point of it. It didn't matter at the end of the day that Madeline was trans or not. You still got to enjoy the game and the story and understood everything. And when that popped up at the end, it does not change anything. Because the identity of the character did not change your overall experience in the game.
It shouldn't.
Exactly. And that's something that most people do not realize when it comes to their games, when they're worried about identity and stuff like that. They're like, oh, we shouldn't cater to the LGBT or BIPOC or whatever. I'm like, it's not about catering, because the identity of a character should not matter. Well, correction.
Yeah, why the fuck is people simply existing political or pandering?
Exactly.
Thank you.
That, exactly. Like, it's not all of that. It's not about pandering. It's not about bandwagoning. It's not about all of that shit, okay? At the end of the day, people exist.
It's about representation.
Exactly. Hell, here's this is one that gets me so pissed off, and I want you to understand this right now, what I'm about to bring to the table. You had because here's the thing. When it comes to villains and shit like that, they don't hold back. An example for this is Persona 5. They didn't hold back with Kamoshida, who was sexually harassing all the female volleyball players and also basically abusing the male players as well, to the point of injury and exhaustion. But, oh no, a trans person climbing a mountain, that's a big fucking problem. But you can represent something so horrible, just as horrible, that's very fucking scary when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they want to call us groomers, but yeah, we have on the CW, fucking primetime network television, you can watch underage kids raw dog each other on Riverdale.
There you go. See? Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, you can't get mad at you can't get mad at a regular piece of representation of someone's identity when you can show a whole bunch of other things that are very scary, like someone suffering SA on TV by someone very despicable, or someone who is being outwardly ignorant and murdering a whole bunch of people because they're different. Media portrays many evil things, but then they want to literally paint different forms of identity as an evil thing.
Like, how many queer-coded villains did we grow up with?
Yeah. Also, Black Spidey has asked a very, very cool question. So, Black Spidey asked, I was going to ask, would knowing a game has I hope I'm not using this word wrong, but queer themes make you want to play it more than not knowing? Just curious to me. It doesn't matter either way as long as they tell a great story.
For me, no. I have missed so many queer games because I am so stuck on what I do like that I will continue liking and supporting it even if it doesn't have queer themes, and it takes more than just queer themes to make me enjoy something.
I kind of agree. If I see a game, like, let's say on Steam, that has like LGBTQ plus tag on it, I'll probably look at it a little bit more closely, because like I personally feel like I'm not super connected with, like, I don't consume naturally a lot of media. I tend to like rewatch the same things or replay the same things over and over again. So when like I look for new games, I vet my games. That's why my wish list is 250 games long. It takes me to vet a game, play this. So I look at it a little bit more closely, and then if the story intrigues me, if it's a game type that I really like if it's story driven and not like FPS game, because I really don't play FPS games, if it checks all of the other boxes on like what I require in a game, I'll play it. The queerness to it is just like an extra check. Like, it doesn't have to be like, if it was the same exact game without it, I would probably still play it. It's just an extra little check mark of being like, ooh, cool thing. Like, ooh, representation, very cool. We need more of that.
Now, I will say I've given a lot of money to queer games that I haven't played, because I own Tell me why. I own Life is Strange. I don't think I'll ever play them. I gave money to Dream Daddy. I don't think I'll ever really play it because one of the two guys I would date, one's voiced by Dan Avedon, and I'm like, it's Dan. I can't get off to Dan. I can't get off to Danny Sexbang. He's not my type. I'm sorry.
I think for me, that question specifically is kind of like, okay, so have you ever had the scenario of like one of your friends going, hey, you should totally date Kyle because he's also gay? I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, and well, didn't you know he's gay though? Like, okay. What else? That's kind of what that question, that's kind of the vibes of what that question brings when you think about it, because it's like, the game is gay, you should play it. Okay, and
This one bitch.
Lucy, repeat yourself because you got cut off.
This one bitch in high school had the audacity to do that to me before I even came out.
Oh goodness.
No. Oh, no, Black Spidey, I'm not saying you offended anyone. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of like what is seen like most of the time. Like, for example, like, just because the game is queer doesn't mean we'll necessarily buy it because it's probably just not our jam at times. And that's kind of that was kind of the point I was trying to make with that analogy. It was a really good question.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
Very good.
Yeah, like, it was a very good question because this is something that has to be addressed. Like, just because a game has queer themes in it doesn't mean that we're gonna buy it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's a bonus if the game is really good and we enjoy it and it has queer themes in it.
Yeah,
Which
agreed.
That's why I love that question that Spidey asked, because at the end of the day, it was like, it's the same question that a lot of people like to ask on that situation where it's like, oh, well, that's a whole like I'm saying, it has that vibe of when your female friend is like, that person's gay, you should date them. And we don't know that person. We only know.
Y'all have friends who do that with you? I wish I had friends. Me.
Like, it's kind of that same thing. Like, you tell that person, hey, I get that they're gay, but just because they're gay does not mean that I want to date your gay best friend. Because at the end of the day, I don't know your gay best friend. It's like, and then they're like, but they're gay. And I'm like, I get that. But who are they, though?
It's
Well,
like when I have
gay.
Oh,
I'm like,
go
okay,
ahead.
I get it. I understand. But what else?
He's a 20-year-old college dropout with blue hair, lives in Austin. You're 17. You'd like him.
It's like when I get people in my Twitch chat who are like, oh my god, you need to play Elden Ring because it just came out and it's popular. I'm like, okay, and I'm not going to enjoy it. I know I'm not going to enjoy it, so why are you telling me to play it if you know I'm not going to enjoy it? Like, stop. Cease and desist.
Exactly. Like, hey.
Like, hey, Lucy, there's a queer game. It'll make you really sad. Fucking bye.
Hey.
Stranger Things already made me sad. I don't need to be even more sad.
People did not wait 24 hours to start doing spoilers for the goddamn new Volume 2. The
That
last
was
two
not me.
episodes.
Right.
That was not me.
Oh,
That was not me.
Spidey also says, hey, I'm 40 and have blue hair. Lol. That's fair. But, okay. Oh, let's talk about Stranger Things for a sec, because that's a thing.
I can't believe they killed off.
I have words. I have many words.
So, here's more.
All
of
right, wait. We need to establish, are we making this spoiler free?
Yeah, spoiler free. No spoilers. It's been less than 2 weeks. So the embargo is still active.
Okay. All right, just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page for that.
Right, so this is not much a spoiler, but it's more on the representation of things. But the character of Will. I'm gonna talk about this. The character of Will.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at with this.
Captain Volcat,
Yes.
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 Well,
Like,
they've been okay. So because I watched Volume 1, rewatched it before Volume 2 dropped, watched Volume 2, went to rewatch Season 1. They've been foreshadowing the thing about Will since Season 1, Episode 1.
Yeah.
It's been foreshadowed. And for people, like, sure, there's been people... How deep do we want to go here? Because I could go off.
I mean, they never get explicit. Like they never say the thing, which I think is just, it's the Activision Blizzard Overwatch character queerness. I'm like, cowards.
I think it'll come in Season 5. I think that's when it'll come out, is in Season 5.
Definitely.
In one way or another, it'll happen in Season 5. But, like, in Season 3, if you recall, the scene when Will angrily leaves Mike's house because he wants to play D&D, but Mike and Lucas are obsessing over their now broken up girlfriends, and Will just wants to play D&D. And Will has a conversation with Mike saying, like, no, I will never understand what it's like to go through girl trouble. I'll never understand that. I thought when they were going with that scene, like, oh, he's asexual. He doesn't feel sexual attraction. He doesn't feel it. So that's why he'll never understand, because he just doesn't feel that attracted to people. That's where I thought they were going with it, which I thought would have been great, because, like, how often asexual representation? Slim to
Motherfucking
none.
cut to. And then we cut to.
Which, like, I'm still happy it's something, but, like, that's where I thought they were going with it in Season 3.
Can we also
It
talk?
almost made me feel like.
But regardless, it's been foreshadowed since the first episode.
It almost makes me feel like Will's not just gay, but I'd almost get like a trans vibe from him. Them, I guess, technically, if I want to say that.
Yeah, there's something else that happens in Season 4 that made me like, okay, wait, hold on a second here. But I'm not gonna say it here because, well, no, it's Volume 1 spoiler, actually. Right, is it Volume 1? No, it's Volume 2 spoiler, never mind. I'm getting them confused because the episodes were so long.
Just as long as they don't fall into the trope of barrier gays.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I love the fact. I mean, like, no, it's. Here's the thing. I like the ambiguity only because of the fact that it kind of relates to pretty much everyone under that identity, regardless of if Will comes out asexual, trans, gay, etc. It still fits under that umbrella of the identity.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's ambiguous at the end of the day.
And also given the time period.
Yeah.
Like, that was like when AIDS was on the rise, I think, at that point. So being like gay, trans, what have you, at that time period is probably very scary.
I mean, that's the same, like, mind you, that's, I believe, if I remember correctly, for this other show, I believe that's the same timeline, the same year, as around where Pose is also in its settings as well, with New York City trans kids, drag queens, and drag kings as well. The ballroom culture, essentially. Like, it's around that same
it's hitting
time.
its peak around 88.
Yeah. So it's around that decade, technically speaking. Like, it would technically be around that decade, correct? Savvy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's around that same decade while all that was happening. So that's another thing that, like, I also realized it. But also another good Stranger Things that has that representation is Robin.
Oh, we love her. I'm
Damn,
here for
Robin.
her.
Like, not only great neurodivergent representation, because she talks about how, like, sometimes her thoughts just come spilling out before she says them, which is a really big thing that happens from what I've been told in my research. Those are usually signs of ADHD being portrayed in Stranger Things, but also the fact that she is into women. So that one's more like out front and identified at the end of the day, like, because she has a crush on the band girl that was with her. You see that in the beginning of of volume 1 of season 4 when she's doing bands with the same girl, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think it took me I think it was upon my second rewatch to realize what she was saying to Steve in the bathroom in season 3. Like, it took me a second to realize, like, oh, she's not attracted to men. It took for it to click. Whether that be, like, I got it the first night I saw it, the season, because I binged the entire season in one night, so I may have not been picking up on the minute details, or, like, on my second rewatch, like, months later when I was actually, like, sitting alone, because I was not with my ex at the time watching it, and just absorbing it and actually thoroughly paying attention, able to take breaks and stop. And I was like, oh, shit! They did it so well. And the actress performed it great, I think, at least.
And once again, as I said before, Robin is an awesome character all around, and she's queer too. That's kind of like what it is. It's the bonus. It's the bonus to her identity. It's not the only thing that makes her character.
And if she dies, we riot.
Yep. If she dies, we do riot. We do in fact riot.
I think she'll be safe, though. I think there might be some tension that happened within, like, the older teen posse. So, like, Steve, Nancy, Jonathan, herself now. I think there'll be some drama within them in season 5. I think she's safe. I don't think she'll die. But
at some point, those fuckers gotta go to college.
Yeah.
Steve is of college age. He should technically be in college. I mean, depending on where the timeline is for...
Yeah, but this is the 80s, so a lot of people like that has become townies.
I can see Steve becoming a townie, honestly.
Also, I love what Nat said. All I know about Stranger Things is that a lot of youngins are now listening to Kate Bush.
There is a remix of an 80s song at the very end of episode 8, which has been stuck in my head.
It's a orchestral sort of remix of
Separate Ways by
Separate
Journey.
Ways.
Yeah.
Because I knew that song because my mom listened to Journey a lot when I was younger. So, like, I grew up with some of their music, especially their greatest hits album.
So here's the thing. I love that song over Don't Stop Believing. That's been, like, a classic song of mine.
Yeah.
I've been listening, like, mind you, I listened to a lot of old rock, especially during middle school, because I used to drum. I used to be a drummer, so I would listen to things like Journey, Van Halen, Blink-182. Like, I would go into all of these things, and they were, like, my influences for all my music when it came to drumming. I now make chiptune music because that's kind of something that I enjoy more. I would want to one day be a video game composer when it comes to making, like, chiptuning music. But all in all together, those are some inspirations that I've gotten. So when I was hearing Kate Bush there, I'm like, is that Kate Bush? I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, oh no. Something tells me they made the song really good. They added an orchestral version, and it's a part of an epic moment. This is gonna be a meme on TikTok. I can feel it. I look on TikTok and I'm like, God damn it, I knew it. It happened. Now the kids are trying to pretend that they're being possessed by Vecna, and they're hanging off of the floor like they freaking are possessed and shit. Like, I gotta put up my favorite song, and then someone put on freaking Nicki Minaj's Anaconda, and I'm like, why?
Oh my god.
I guess you kind of want to circle back around to something, the awakening question, because I have a filthy response to it.
Go for it.
And I think I brought this up when I streamed it. I just want to plug my own stuff. I wonder how much Five Nights at Freddy's security breach is going to awaken stuff in people. Getting called little superstar. Now, climb inside me. Freddy? Is this macro foreplay now? With daddy issues? Don't mind if I do.
Oh no.
I'm here for it.
who spent $812 on Animal Crossing. Oh no.
Oopsies.
Oopsies. Who spent $800 on full body pillow covers of Security Breach. Oh no.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
It doesn't help that my partner just told me recently that he has me a full body pillow ready, and I'm like, so I gotta find a cover for this now. What do I want?
Now, do you want Glamrock Freddy, or do you want to go really nasty with Montgomery Gator?
Why not both? One on each side, you know? Just
Oh yeah, I would absolutely cheat on one with the other. I'm not gonna lie.
like I'll look at Montgomery Gator. I'll be like, "Hello, baby. I missed you so much. You never want to cuddle with me anymore. You know what? That's fine." Flips the pillow over. Honey, I missed you so much. I've been so stressed out with my regular daily life.
This is me with Connor from Detroit Become Human, let's be honest.
Before Security Breach, there was Zootopia, and before Zootopia, there was Disney's Robin Hood.
Oh, hands fucking down.
Is it bad that I've had attractions towards certain Pokemon characters and Pokemon in general?
Is this about fucking Vaporeon?
No.
Okay, then proceed.
I'm
Proceed.
thinking Machamp. Machamp.
Oh, hell yeah, with the Speedos?
Like not just with the Speedos, like he has 4 arms.
You can get choked and spanked and wanked.
There's literally a Smash or Pass Pokemon game. Oh, I'm aware. Markiplier did that one. Don't say Mr. Mime. No one's thinking about that. Listen, no one's looking for the Clussy except for everyone on Twitter who just found out about the Clown Girl in Ace Attorney.
You know, I'll stop adding ussy to words when they pry from my cold dead hands.
Oh no, we're not repeating Ussy after what happened in the 3rd episode this season. Oh my god. Oh my god. They ruined us. 2 of my previous guests ruined Ussy for me. They ruined everything. God damn it. But no, all in all together, like Machamp. Just Machamp.
Yeah.
Just Machamp. Like that's all I need.
I'm more of an ass man, so it's all about Rillaboom for me.
Rillaboom is another solid choice.
He's got dumps like a truck.
Incineroar.
Incineroar is just the top version of Rillaboom. Let's just be honest here.
That's fair. And don't forget, we also have the waifu Pokemons like Gardevoir, Lopunny, Serena. Do I have to continue with Serena being the dominatrix lovely? Like I'm the step on you queen. OnlyFans. Sup.
That scene in FF14 where Yutsuyu just stands on that guy's face.
Basically. Also, can we talk about something that was overtly sexual in Final Fantasy VII? The hand massage. I'm just like, wait a minute.
Yeah, kind of like the massage in FF10 too.
Here's the thing. When I was a kid, they're like, "Oh, we'll take you for a massage." I was like, "Okay, a massage. That sounds great." When I grow up now and I know what a happy ending is now, I'm like, "Oh, okay." When you're a kid and you don't realize this. Also, just want to retort a point. Black Spidey, it's the 6th Ace Attorney game, the one that came up with the 3DS. It's called Spirit of Justice. Her name is Gatu.
Is that because she's gay?
No.
Damn.
But
They're usually pretty clever with their names. I'm kind of sad.
She's covered in balloons. She is a clown that loves her balloons, and you know, she has balloons in places to make herself look very curvy. Just saying.
We were talking about balloon fetishes last night on our stream.
Last night I was talking about why is there a sex club in at least once a block in Cyberpunk? I was not prepared.
People be horny in the future.
We're horny now. But we're more closeted now, I guess.
Damn, I missed.
Actually, I had a thought, so to speak. Can we legally have a nerd podcast talking about LGBT representation and not mention sailors Neptune and Uranus?
We can't. We cannot have that. I'm sorry. We need to talk about them more often.
And
Because
their gay Sailor Saturn?
can we hold on? Can we talk about the polygam couple that was Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune that raised the gay bee Saturn?
Oh, hell yeah. Sorry, yeah, the kissing cousins and the dick translation. That just made it all much more special.
Can we talk? Hold on. I just want to say one thing. So, it's not okay to kiss your girlfriend, but it's okay to kiss your cousin.
Yeah.
I just want to know what the hell Deke was thinking, and they were like, it's okay to kiss your cousin, but it's not okay to kiss your girlfriend.
Tasteful, no bush.
Interesting.
Interesting choices going on. They couldn't have just said, "Oh, that's my friend." You know, kind of like how they go, like, you know, like, kind of like how, you know, a wife would tell their child, "Oh, that's just your Uncle Jerry," but literally, it's not your Uncle Jerry; it's just someone else.
Yeah.
Like, could you not just say that that's your friend and that's it? But that was another one. Like, Sailor, let's face it, and also let's not forget that Sailor Moon from the Deke version also changed Zoisite's whole entire gender.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Zoisite completely changed from a man to a woman only because of the fact that Zoisite wore a ponytail. I'm like, guys can wear ponytails. I have a freaking mullet. I sometimes wear a ponytail on my mullet. Like, what?
God, it's been so long since yeah, sorry. Nope, I got nothing.
Okay, so if we're gonna talk controversial takes of LGBTQ plus in video games, then we kind of need to talk about Danganronpa 1.
Yeah, you do.
Wait. No, because you cut off halfway as you were saying that.
What, me?
Yeah, you.
Danganronpa 1.
Oh, yeah.
First game, Trigger Happy Havoc.
Yes.
So if anyone who's listening to this in the future, currently in chat, if you don't want spoilers for this game that came out 12 years ago, go away for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Double
Then
spoiler,
come
you
back.
probably jerked off to this character at some point in your life.
So give a second. So I think it is the second trial of the first game.
Chihiro.
You have Chihiro. We love Chihiro. So, for those who are familiar, this game, to give a very, very brief TLDR, ultimate talented high schoolers who have to kill each other and then have to try each other to figure out who killed each other.
And if you get
Basic
it wrong,
premise.
everyone in the classroom dies, and the person that killed someone gets away with it.
Yes.
If you catch the person, they get executed instead for disturbing the peace, so to speak.
Yes. And then it continues in an endless cycle until you beat the game, essentially.
Yep.
So, Chihiro is the ultimate programmer,
Mhm.
I think
Nope, you got it.
was their title. They die in the second trial.
Second
They
trial.
die. So, the entire time that we know Chihiro as a character, we are led to believe that they are female. Because of just how they act, how they present themselves. Then we find out during Kyoko's investigation, who is our detective character, that Chihiro this entire time had male genitalia, but never identified as male. Always identified as female, as far as we are concerned. So, we don't know what Chunsoft was doing. Were they trying to create a transgender character? Or was this person cross-dressing? I don't know if I'm using the correct terminology.
Cross-dressing is more modern, politically correct.
Okay. So we don't really know how this character actually identifies. And like people say that, oh, Chihiro's trans, and people say, oh, Chihiro's not trans. So we as the fandom don't know.
It's the same thing we get with Naoto in Persona 4.
And that's actually where I can go into that, funny enough. Chihiro technically cross-dress, if that's the correct term. Again, I just want to be double sure. Cross-dressed because of the fact that people found Chihiro weak. Chihiro loved things that were, you know, like stuffed animals, or things that were not necessarily seen as manly or masculine. And Chihiro's whole entire arc is essentially dealing with the toxic masculinity that's thrown around his way. And the reason why I say his is because of the fact that Chihiro only dressed feminine to kind of get people to stop forcing toxic masculinity views on Chihiro. And that's actually discussed in the finale of that trial, which essentially was that the secret was Chihiro's actually male. So Chihiro's whole thing that was supposed to go into it was the fact that Chihiro went to Owada, the person who actually ends up killing Chihiro, to actually toughen him up and to actually teach him what it's like to be a man, a manly man, in a respectful manner, as Chihiro looked up to Mondo in that sense. And because of the fact that Chihiro was much stronger dealing with the secret than Mondo, Mondo ends up killing Chihiro in a flash of not only jealousy, but also in the fact that they snapped when they found out that somebody as puny as Chihiro kind of overcame their secret like nothing, but he could not overcome his. Therefore, he snapped and basically committed manslaughter, not homicide, because it was not intended to kill Chihiro. The whole point of the situation is, I believe Chihiro still, and this is also done by just how the story's narrative goes, Chihiro still identifies as male, but had the secret of dressing as female as a coping mechanism to get away from toxic masculinity.
But we know that. Do we know that's a translation thing, or
No, that's
it's the same in Japanese as well?
It's the same in Japanese as well.
So it's a cop out.
Yeah.
Cowards.
I mean, I thought it would have been very progressive for a game that came out in 2010. That would have been progressive as fuck.
As much as I would like to say that, as much as many people say that it's not progressive, in a way, it kind of is. And I want you to think about it for a sec. Is it not progressive? I mean, like, isn't it progressive to have someone who still identifies as male to dress up as something that is not typically masculine?
It's working for Harry Styles.
There you go. Like, it's I find that to be pretty. I find that to be pretty good representation of someone who identifies as male but is okay and comfortable wearing a dress, wearing feminine items all on their body because they do not care, and that's the gender fuck that we need. That's great. That's the thing that I actually was okay with, because at the end of the day, it's like Chihiro still identifies as male. That is their secret because they are dealing with toxic masculinity in their own way. And the fact that they wanted to grow, they wanted to essentially change who they are and actually help themselves go even further by seeking someone who they feel was a healthy representation of masculine and not the toxic one that people threw on Chihiro. I find that to be not only respectful and a really good sense of representation that it's okay for men to wear dresses every now and then. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a strange thing or something weird, but
Yeah.
it was normalized. And that's something that I can technically respect in that. It's normalized. Because remember how we talked about how games shouldn't just have queer themes for us to play the game? This normalization of a character wearing feminine clothing, even though they are male, was normalized. And that is something that I can 100% say that I respect in that whole thing, because it wasn't essentially like, oh, this was a queer thing, this is a bonus for me to play the game. No, this was treated normally and respectfully. And most people do not realize that in the fandom, because they're so busy trying to quickly to put a label on Chihiro that they are trans, or that they are like quickly putting all of the stamps. I think it's that reason where people were so quick on putting a label or stamp on it immediately that people missed the entire point of what Chihiro's story was.
Yeah, humans just like to categorize things and label things with brains. Our brains are just built like that, unfortunately.
But yeah, like,
science.
but yeah, that's essentially something I respect that's something I respect when it came to Danganronpa's very first game. It was kind of respectful in the fact that Chihiro is a human being who dresses in feminine, is a human male who dresses in feminine clothing, because they had to deal with a lot of toxic masculinity and expectations towards them. And even still, it was done even more respectfully, because even the person that killed Chihiro was willing to keep their secret till the end, because that was not something that they were ready to talk about. So they actually
it wasn't his place.
Exactly. So that was even more of a big respect on that situation, because the fact that even somebody who killed this person in a fit of rage and had snapped emotionally and committed manslaughter literally fixed up the crime scene to make it look like the secret's still there for Chihiro. And that, I have to say, is that's very commendable at the end of the day. And to go on what Lucy mentioned earlier about Persona 4, if you want to bring up a synopsis on Naoto.
Oh, no, I don't. It's an Atlas game. I'm going to spend 5 hours.
I could give the quick TLDR on Naoto.
Basically, female character cross-dresses, is trans-coded, but never explicitly comes out as trans, because cop-out.
Because cop-out.
Like Nat said, writers will write circles around justifying queer things rather than just make a character trans.
That's fair.
This is also coming from a country that just recently the Supreme Court held up the fact that they can legally, it's a law, if you start transitioning in Japan, they forcibly sterilize you. And the Supreme Court just held that up as being okay.
Explain
Great.
sterilize? Just don't know big words.
You cannot reproduce. They either testicular removal or hysterectomy, depending on what your genitalia is.
Oh shit.
They forcibly sterilize you, so you can't have kids ever.
Can they? I will go willingly. I don't want those. I'll keep vagina though. I just don't want the ovaries anymore. Thank you.
That's fair. Omega says Persona 4 was the game they found gay dating dialogue for the MC that never made it into the final game as well. They really chickened out at the last moment. And I completely 100% agree. The thing that bothers me on the situation is the fact that 4, you had that communication with both Yusuke and Kanji. And Kanji, I feel, was... now, Yusuke gets a lot of hate in the game for obvious reasons. He kind of comes off... He does come off homophobic towards Kanji, especially if someone was like... If a male character were to like flirt with him. Which, again, I kind of understand that, because in the opposite side of things, you wouldn't want someone flirting with you for no reason. And especially if it's completely out there. I know there's some people that don't like respect getting flirted at immediately. But if it's with a close friend and they're just joking around and it's kind of like, oh, hey, baby, how you doing? That's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's just kind of like a banter. It's kind of like your whole dialogue as a friend group altogether. But anyway, my big thing about it is the way that they portrayed not only Naoto, but Kanji. But also, they did some rights and wrongs when it came to portraying Kanji. The wrong, obviously, being the stereotypical, ooh, I gotta have a high-pitched voice and have to have that stereotypical that stereotypical way of how we see gay people, essentially. You okay, Lucy?
No, that's the stereotypical way in which they portray kanji.
Yeah. And the whole point of kanji's like shadow awakening was essentially, listen, I'm a tough guy, but I like cute shit too. I don't wear a dress, but I do like to sew. Is that a fucking problem?
And then it implies that he and Naoto end up together.
It kind of I just want to establish they don't, which is funny enough because Fighters came out and that kind of branched out in a way.
Yeah, it's canon.
Yeah, like Fighters came out and legitimately it was like, we're not dating, but I still like you, and it never went anywhere. That's the whole point. Like, it never went anywhere. They never really officially like went like, we're going out, we're dating, fuck yeah,
Which is, to be fair, most high school relationships.
Yeah, it was a Degrassi / Dawson's Creek moment. It's fine. The will they, won't they? But the other thing was with Naoto, which, as you said before, Lucy, the situation with her being trans, quote unquote, and again, going into what Nat said earlier about how people write ways to basically circles than just writing a trans character. Naoto's was also another way of portraying that women don't get taken seriously in bigger role jobs. If she was a detective, no one's going to take her seriously because they're going to be like, oh, a female detective. We don't need to take what she has to say seriously. So that's why she dressed up as male, so that way people would take her seriously. She took the masculine approach to be like, okay, I'm the detective prince, and I'm going to solve this case, and we're going to be serious about this. Instead of her being objectified or not taken seriously. Because, again, we live in a shit world where people don't take women or anyone who is different. Basically, if you're not a white cis straight male, you are not taken seriously.
If you're an other with a capital O.
There you go. If you're other with a capital O, you're not taken seriously. And hence why Naoto's character is, I'm dressing masculine, I'm dressing in basically the privileged clothing to actually be respected. And that was the whole point of her awakening, which was essentially understanding that whole thing where she now feels pressured that she has to completely change as a guy and kill the feminine side of her. Which was another whole point of her awakening. And then they decided, which to this day still gets on my goat, they decided to activate the school festivities where they both had a swimsuit contest and a drag contest. The drag contest I found kind of hilarious and understand why. The guys kind of put all the women in their group in the swimsuit contest without their permission. Kind of like, you know, against their consent, obviously. So the girls were like, okay. I see what
in
you
their
did there.
defense, we see that kind of same shit in like.
Say that again?
I said, in their defense, you probably see the same thing in like an American sitcom too. I can picture the guys and Friends pulling some shit like that.
Yep, I can definitely see that happening. So, honestly, I will have to say, like, I do respect that they had something inclusive like a drag competition, but it was not done particularly well. And the swimsuit contest kind of just revealed that Naoto had big boobs and won the competition. That was like, okay, well, didn't we just talk about the fact that we want to respect Naoto's identity, but now we're already objectifying her in front of a whole bunch of high school kids?
But high school are tits! It's Japan, we crave it!
Oh, God.
Like, it's literally unthinkable to just withdraw from the competition as well. Only revenge hijinks allowed, right? Oh my god. It was like we couldn't just take our names, right? We couldn't just take our names out of the ballot. No. We have to now actually join.
Some Harry Potter convoluted bullshit.
Exactly. But yeah, like that's some examples of how like That's some examples, especially to what Nat said earlier, about how writers kind of write around the situation between someone who is not necessarily turning from man to woman or woman to man, etc., male to female, female to male, or even non-binary for that matter. And like those are some really good examples of like that situation where if you fuck with gender in some way, we're gonna have to write circles of circles of circles around how we're gonna do it. But again,
If we don't put one sentence to justify this, Reddit will kill us.
exactly. But then again, we can also have teachers that molest their students on our media. That's a better representation than the LGBT representation. And that's something to this day that still bothers me. Like, they want you to like, mind you, they want you to have hatred towards these villains that do very disgusting and awful things. Meanwhile, someone who's in the LGBT community who is a respectable member, or better yet, you know, just doing their thing and living their life is a bad representation also, because guess what? Apparently, we have to be like Ursula in The Little Mermaid. We have to be Jafar. We have to be Gastons. We have to be all of these things. Not regular human beings that can also help the hero at times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a literature tradition for millennia now.
Mm-hmm. And that's essentially why, like, I like having these conversations. I mean, I know Pride Month's over. I usually would have done this on Pride Month, but I'm like, people are busy on Pride Month.
Valid.
Like,
I moved. I got a job. I moved. I stopped getting COVID. Great.
Like, I know for a fact that most of us did some sort of event for Pride at some point.
Yeah. Last weekend.
Not I.
I did charity at most, but that was like a different story. All together, like, I just want to say, like, I just want to have better representation of LGBT characters in video games and have those options as a thing, because the thing is, at the end of the day, most people don't realize this, and I hate to say it like this because it also sounds like I'm disregarding the LGBT, but I'm not. I wouldn't say necessarily someone was born gay or born that, you know, like born gay or born straight. I think with upbringing, when it comes down to what your upbringing is and your life experience comes into, you kind of slowly get closer and closer to your identity.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's, I mean, like I said before, I work in student affairs, so I work with college students. Like, and we have a whole class in our first semester of our 2-year program that talks about student development theory. It's just student development theory with college students. And one of the classes one night was all about LGBTQ plus identity and talking about how students, specifically college students, how they develop in their identities through their experiences. And like, that was also my non-binary awakening. Like, I had the bisexual during undergrad, and I had the non-binary awakening during grad school. I was like, you know, this graph kind of looks like my experience, and I don't like how I'm being called out right now in the middle of class. So to that point, Hito, I agree with you in terms of your upbringing kind of determines who you are. Because I personally, my headcanon on the human race is that we're all a little gay. We all have like that. We all have that, like, whether it's 1% or like 99. We're all a little gay, like just a smidge. And whether or not you choose to act on it is up to themselves. If they choose to identify, like if they take that 1% and you're like, you know what, this I want to identify as bisexual, whatever. Or if they choose to not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everyone has the potential to be gay or not be gay, you know, etc. Like, mind you, just because I stood all day, like, just because I was stuck with Disney movies that were about the princess always meeting with the prince but not another princess, does not mean that I'll necessarily turn straight for that matter.
Everyone can have a little butt stuff as a treat.
There you go. See, that there you go. That's an idea right there. Essentially, it's just you could potentially be gay. You could potentially be straight. You could potentially be male. You could potentially be female. You could potentially be non-binary. You could potentially be a doctor or a lawyer. You could potentially be any one of these things. It does not mean that you will always be that or things will happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's all potential. When somebody is born, it is potential.
Yeah. I'd like to quickly draw attention to Black Spidey's recent comment, which they said, to me, I enjoy more stories like that. It would be nice to see stories that don't relate to me, but can also educate and enlightening me. Like, the strong thing that comes to my mind, I know this is not LGBTQ+, but is representation nonetheless. If you're familiar with Watch Dogs, one of my most favorite franchises, in Watch Dogs 1, you play as Aiden Pierce, a middle-aged, angry-ish white male. Watch Dogs 2, you play as a probably, I think, mid-20s black guy. And, like, that was my first time ever playing as a black male character, or black character of all time in my current gaming. And I still consider myself baby to video gaming. So, like, it was nice to have a different perspective. Now, do I like what they did with the character? No. Do I like the representation? Yes. And do I think Ubisoft is checking off a box? Probably.
Absolutely, they are.
Definitely.
But it was nice to see the representation, especially their group of hacktivists that they had. So they had Marcus, and then they had Horatio, who unfortunately dies, and I'm not happy with what they did with that, but whatever. Then they had Josh, who was neurodivergent, which I think is like a nice little thing to like include that, because like this was also like I think 2017 when the game came out. So like still you don't really see that still at a lot in comparison to other things. And then you have Satara, who may or may not be gay, but like I had canon her as gay. So like it was nice to just see that representation, and then there's Wrench, who wrenches. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's pansexual as fuck, but like it's never confirmed. It's just very, very heavily hinted at. And it was just nice to just sit and play as something completely different than who I am. And I think like we need more games like that take you out of your like. I think going back to my point earlier, I think it's important to have games where you can identify with the main character, even if it's just 2% of your identity, and you can relate to that character in some way. Because like then how else are you going to feel emotionally attached to that character and help seeing them through the story? But I also think it's important to have representation across everything, in terms of all different identities and all different spectrums, because how else do you learn? Unless if you want to sit in a classroom all day, and I don't think a lot of us want to sit in a classroom all day.
I do that for a living. I'm not doing it for my fun time.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So I think it's important, and it's like it's also like way more. It gets you more involved with like learning about it. Like I probably learned more stuff through video games than I have in other forms of just learning things. And it's just a good way to just sit and view and like just walk a mile in someone else's shoes, even if they're a fictional character.
All right, so
I have something to show you, which actually brings Aaron's point really well done. Because I actually like
Oh great! I did that purposefully, you know.
No, because this
We love a segue here.
We do love
got
a segue.
So I have this that I'm showing the group right now, because technically showing on the video right now, because technically speaking, this is important. It goes with what we're talking about. But essentially, oh right, I forgot I had people under the stairs like scaring the hell out of people for the scary horror movies thing from last week. But here we go.
Christ!
What did I just say?
Your nose. The next category is portrayal of women, which clearly can't be Saints Row 3.
Anthony.
I don't have sound.
Oh wait, you don't have sound?
I don't have sound.
Oh jeez.
Also, I love this episode of Hey Ash, What You Playing?
Yeah, but it brings up a very valid point, which if anything, Wait, are you okay?
Which
I'm
clearly
starting it now.
can't
Can
be
you hear
Saints
it?
Row 3.
Anthony.
No.
Anthony.
Is
Nope.
it just me that can't hear it?
I can't hear it either.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not just me.
So let me.
Chat, how are y'all? Chat, do y'all have ears?
They should be able to hear it because it shows on the Discord thingy.
I have stream audio turned on.
Okay, hold on. I got an idea. I got an idea. Yeah, see, they can hear it, but you can't hear it. So I'm just gonna share my screen on this.
Okay,
So
that's
they're-
fine.
So they're talking about portrayal of women, or like basically portrayal of things in video games, and one of the subjects that Anthony brings up is portrayal of women. So here we go. Because literally, Ashley says that Saints Row 3 is a good game that represents a majority of things, but here we go.
Okay, so the next category is
We're good.
portrayal of women, which clearly can't be Saints Row 3.
Anthony.
What?
Saints Row 3.
How? All the male characters are super condescending to the female characters, and you run around beating up people with a giant dildo bat. No. Okay, the best female portrayal goes to the Old Republic. I played as a cool Jedi Knight female, and she wasn't sexualized, but she was a total badass.
What'd she look like?
She was a human, skinny scar on her face.
Oh, skinny? Because my chick in Saints Row 3 looked like this.
Has the game been on the whole time, just in case I asked you about that?
She's like 300 pounds and she's a badass. Name a game that has a cool, fat female protagonist. Name a game that even gives you the option. Does the Old Republic allow you to be fat?
Yeah. If you're a guy.
I just dropped your mic.
That's still not what it means. Oh my god!
So the whole point of that conversation was the fact that again, she brings up the fact that the way that women are portrayed in games sometimes do not come out well. And this was an example of, I can make my character look like this. This is a better portrayal because women come in all different shades and sizes, like all together. Like, let's be,
You do realize, okay, story time. So like I said, my school district my home school district is like rich as fuck because we're in a very wealthy county. So I had the fortunate experience to take a gender studies class in my year of high school. So for our final project for the class, and it was like half of a year class, so it was like a short like flyby class. Our final assignment was to like take a look at a gender issue in society. So me starting to get into gaming at that time heavily wanted to look at gender stereotypes in video games, specifically about women. I don't remember a lot of my research that I did, but looking a lot about like how women are portrayed physically and how there's like different tropes that they were using in terms of like women are being the trophy, like a trophy complex of women being the end goal. Like, oh, at the end, at the end of this game, when you beat the entire game, you get the woman as the prize. You get the girl.
Reward, yeah.
And then also looking at like how armor or like clothing and that type of thing. And like my example, so like my lead way, I kind of did it in the style of like a theory video. So like starting with like I did like a little snip of Alien Isolation because you play as Amanda Ripley, who is this badass chick and probably also partial of my spiritual bisexual awakening, who like does all this badass shit just because she wants a stupid flight recorder. not because of anything else, no, because she wants to figure out what the fuck is going on. And like she's not dressed sexually. She may be wearing a form-fitting suit, but that is only space gear, so it's like the undersuit of it. That's the only reason. But like it's like she's completely covered. And like I was like, you know what? Like this please. Yeah, I have to find that video. It's super crazy, but I made some very good points.
No, and I totally get it. Like, it's literally a thing that happened with women on multiple games. How women have the most skimpiest of armor, and I'm just like, how are you blocking a sword with this?
Unless you're playing Final Fantasy 14 or Final Fantasy 11, the men's armor in that one is just as slutty, and God bless it too.
But do the women have more to protect them with?
Actually, I think most female armor is actually less revealing than male armor in a lot of instances of FF14.
Ooh. Okay, see, there we go. Square
I mean,
Enix, you're learning good.
If they're gonna make slutty armor, they have to make both sides slutty. That's it. That's the thing.
I think
Like if I could see women's cleavage, I gotta see the V line on men. Sorry,
I
that's
don't,
the rules.
I don't think we
The
disagree with that.
gutters.
I don't think we disagree with that.
Good.
Do you want to see more slutty armor from men, Lucy?
Oh, what do you think my Rogadin glamour is right now?
There we go.
Love it.
I'm wearing a crop top and a fucking leather loincloth.
Oh, we love it. Love to
there
see
we go.
it.
But yeah, like essentially, that's kind of why I brought that video up as an example, because again, there are games that, you know, women can't be portrayed as fat for some reason. I'm like, there are such things as fat women. Like, what the fuck? Is that a problem?
Fat phobia. It's not the ideal woman image.
But
Women
we're
need to
just
look like
concerned
stick
about your
figures.
health. Wink.
And then there's that part just like, nobody asked you. There was a big one that legitimately went into my whole thing. The subject of getting the girl at the end. That has always been like a narrative that it's been okay, I guess, but then at the same time, it's like, we don't want it to strictly just be you get the girl at the end for most games. And my partner Waffles, he discussed this a lot actually when we were talking about this, because I would get him into beat 'em ups, and usually beat 'em ups have that we're getting the girl at the end. Okay, that's for Double Dragon or Scott Pilgrim or Castle Crashers, or I can name more games that just like you get the girl at the end. The only disagreement with Scott Pilgrim when it comes to getting the girl at the end is the girl is technically on the journey with you and kicking ass along your side. So that I can at least respect. Like, does that make sense? Like, she's at least fighting with you. She's not a damsel in distress. In the game at least, by the way. In the manga and the movie, totally different story. But all in all together, just she fights alongside with you. And then Ubisoft also checked the gay box by putting Wallace in. A martini sipping male that is technically Scott's roommate in the building and kind of just does these kicks and everything, but keeps a martini in hand at all costs. Because Karen Walker is the influence.
Nat brought up that in the original promo art for Mobius Final Fantasy, the main character protagonist had infinitely sluttier armor, and then fans complained and they changed it to much more covering armor, and then we were denied.
Just exactly like, listen, we want sluttier armor for the men's, please. That's all we ask. That it's not that hard. Just the whole point is to not make it hard for everyone except for the people enjoying the entertainment. You just cannot deny it.
He had the slutty side boob window going on for him.
Check out that side boob. Check out this side boob. How about that side boob? Does that
Nope, that's my side boob.
But
I love a good side.
You want some side boob? You know, here you go. I can just take them out.
just there you go.
Feast on these, boys.
But yes, like all in all together, like we need to start doing, like most game companies, it's not about just the representation, but it's about doing it's about normalizing it as well. Not sinking deep into not sinking deep into the tragedy of someone who is different and not a white cis het male, but like essentially stop glamorizing, can you use that word? Stop glamorizing people's trauma because of their identity or their sexuality or because of their shade of their color. It's not cute in a game. Because again, as you said before, Lucy, we use games to escape the shitty reality that we live in. And essentially it's foretelling when people just want to capitalize on gay trauma or trans trauma or non-binary trauma or anyone's sexuality trauma or colorism trauma, etc., etc. you don't want people to capitalize on that, because at the end of the day, yes, it's good that we're being seen and heard, but at the same time, it should not always be the trauma.
I think what the best instance of that, it was a very small scene in, I think it was season 4 or 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Daisy's trying to like get help this Inhuman escape, and then, or someone escape, I can't remember. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't that good of a show. I said it. But there's a scene where a character's like, oh, they took someone important to me hostage, and she goes like, what, your girlfriend? He goes, boyfriend. And like there wasn't like a moment where she goes, oh, like, you know, like that when a character comes out and there's like that shock moment for like a few seconds, and they go, oh, like there was none of that. It was just, all right.
Exactly.
Like it was treated like a normal, mundane, everyday occurrence.
Yeah, because like when you talk about cishet couples, that's what it is. It's just normal. And it's almost expected too, which it shouldn't be expected. Yeah. Like I had someone come into my stream the other night. Shameless plug to my streams, by the way. I had someone come into my stream Friday night, and we were playing Great Ace Attorney, and I have the LGBTQ plus tag on my streams. And it was a new chatter, never seen. And they're like, hey, I saw the tag. Do you mind if I ask a question? Of course, like I'm on like red alert. Oh God, is this a hate? But then they asked the genuine question of, I'm struggling to come out. What's your advice? And like we literally just stopped playing for a good 45 minutes. Myself, the person I was streaming with, and the entirety of chat, like comforting this person, because like, and I was trying to get across, like, coming out shouldn't be a thing. It should just be accepted, like on arrival, like when you bring a partner home, like if I were to bring a girl home, or if I were to bring someone transgender home, or if I bring someone who's non-binary, bring anyone home and not have like my mom or my dad or my family say, oh, this is awkward now. It shouldn't be that. And like that's where like we as society needs to like hurry the fuck up.
We need to make queerness boring.
Yeah, make queerness boring.
Trust me, I know a lot of boring ass gay people. Being gay does not make you exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Like legitimately,
it's a good start, but
before I started like seeing my partner, do you know how many profiles I've scrolled through daily where they're just like, I work out at the gym and like long walks on the beach? I'm like, okay. And it was just like, I'm this. I'm like, okay. There's some people. Oh, this is actually a question that I forgot I was going to ask this. Genuine opinion. How do you feel when people just put their personality as I'm gay and that's it? Just that's it. Like they're gay. Like when they say my personality is gay and that's it.
Okay, and?
Bitch, what flavor? Spicy, mild?
Yeah, like you could be gay, but like, what? Where? Like, what exactly?
Because there are times.
So you eat ass. Good for you. Who doesn't? It's 2022.
Because there's also representation in video games and media where it's like, I'm gay. And I'm gay.
But it's probably, like, when it's in pieces of media, if they just have the I'm gay in, like, a rainbow montage floating across your screen, it's probably the stereotypical media image of, like, the flamboyant gay best friend. Like, it's so superficial. It's nothing beyond that.
Like, I'll make this very clear, and honestly, this is when, I know this is an iconic gay show for a majority of people, but Will and Grace, Jack McFarlane was essentially just, I'm gay, and that's it. Sure, was like someone who was getting into acting and all the other things, but it was essentially just, I'm gay. And that's it. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who just recently rewatched Will and Grace, I mean, Jack has a bit more nuance to him, but like I know plenty of gay people like Jack, and you know, being a flamboyant person isn't wrong. Being
True to yourself isn't wrong, and who you are.
living your best life huntee is never wrong. Jack's just a disaster gay of the highest order.
It's fair.
With Karen as his enabler.
Well, Karen is always like the good enabler. Like you know how everyone says that you need a gay best friend? Karen is like the best friend of every gay. Like that is important.
Fruit fly.
But there was the new Will and Grace that came out a couple of years back, like the reboot that they did. And there was this one episode where Will, who is of course an older zaddy labeled gay, to a younger person that is also gay, literally saw the difference between younger gays and older gays, which was when he came out, it was a difficult time for people to adjust. As the younger person he was dating came out, it was a party.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, as Aaron said before, things like this should just be normalized. You had a very overly positive situation happen, and you had an overly negative situation happen, instead of it just being, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought that up as an example because it's like, wow, okay, so it doesn't need to be celebrated like crazy, but it also doesn't need to be negatively impactful and traumatizing when you do.
Though, I will say, because I am on the dating scene,
Mm-hmm.
so, like, my favorite thing is because, like, I present feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm non-binary, I present feminine.
Me
As
too,
of right
sis.
now. Huh?
Them? Oh, me too, sis.
So, and I put in my dating profiles that I'm non-binary, bisexual, feminine presenting. Or, like, it's... The feminine presenting part is usually, like, through my photos, you tell, like, I'm dressed feminine, mostly. Even though I don't wear dresses and skirts, but that's besides the point. So, like, my favorite part is when I get straight people, like, cishet straight men, in my inbox, who are like, yeah, I'm attracted to you. I'm like, okay, you've realized this makes you queer, right? Because I identify as non-binary. That you are no longer attracted to a cishet woman right now. It's a good conversation. It's great conversation to have. It's wonderful. It's great that I have to be that awakening for them and make them realize that they're no longer straight if they're attracted to someone who's non-binary who still presents feminine. It's great.
And this goes back to that conversation that we had immediately, which was everyone always has a little queer in them. Mm-hmm. Which is not an issue.
Gay. A little gay.
Exactly. For example, I'm getting used to going by they, them pronouns myself as well, because I identify as he, him usually, and I usually use he, him, but I also identify with they, them every now and then as well. It's kind of like my in-between.
I just make it easy for everyone. I say, oh, I respond to every pronoun except for it.
Fair.
Valid. Fair.
Not that there's anything wrong with its pronoun. I know I know like 2 people who go by its. And it's not for me, but it's for those people.
What do you mean by those people?
Have you met the others?
No, don't take that one seriously. But have you met the other? I just got that right now. Have you just met the others?
I was trying to think of a plural for it, but it's them, and I'm like, but they don't. They. I forget that they, them can be plural, and. Fuck.
It happens. It happens quite often.
Almost. Listen, pronouns can be hard, people, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't fucking try.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think that's the most respectful thing that anybody can do, and that's try. Try to understand, try to listen, try to respect the pronouns. And I think legitimately that's what we're in right now, especially in the standard of the world that we have now, that people just do not respect it. Like, just as how easily I'm not going to come up to somebody, raise my hand and go, hello, fuckface.
Wait, you don't?
No, very bad. Where's the spray? Just no.
Give me a minute, I'll make my own spray. Bitch, it'll be a war.
Oh my god.
I have Windex on my kitchen counter. It's not that far.
No, not the Windex. You will be blinded. But my eyes will have a nice sheen at the end of it. But yeah, like, essentially, it's like, that's the thing that we're lacking, is just respect. Because, like, essentially, back to what I said, like, you're not going to randomly just go up to somebody and insult them and disrespect people. And I think because of the fact that we've had something like the anonymity of the internet being a very good training montage for people to be like, oh, I hate queer people. Trademark. Then that's the stupid thing. And that's why we have all these internet preferences where they just come in and they just randomly like, hey, I'm going to be a dick to this one group of people. I'm going to be a dick to BIPOC people. I'm going to be a dick to queer people, etc., etc. And that's something that's very disgusting and you should not be doing. And the internet trains that anonymity, and then that anonymity that they're training that hatred to starts coming out in reality, and it becomes an even worse situation.
I'm so fortunate. Like I mentioned, I just started a new job, like almost a month ago, actually. And like in my interview, like I mentioned, like I'm non-binary, blah blah blah. And like one of like my division has 4 supervisors. My supervisor's still out on maternity leave, so like one of the other supervisors has kind of like taken me under his wing for the time being until she returns. And like he, like, first of all, the entire staff has been like super accepting of like my pronouns, and like people have like asked me, like some of the older faculty, or I should, we're staff members, some of the older staff members have asked me like, okay, because like what are you okay with, like, because you use she, they, do you prefer one or the over the other? And that's when I'm fine with both. As of right now, both is fine. But the one staff member in particular, asked me like, so like, okay, like I'm a Southern guy, raised Southern. I use yes sir, yes ma'am a lot, just like in passing when I'm like responding to someone. Is that okay with you? Are you comfortable if I say that? And like just him taking the moment to just ask and just not to assume, just like made my day. I'm like, yeah, like I'm fine with that. Like I sir, yes ma'am, shit, like that's what we do. Like I'm fine with that, and I can't the non-binary version. Go for it. So like, but it's just the fact that like he took time out of his day to just simply ask, and it made it just like that's the shit we need in this world.
Actually, perfect question that Black Spidey's asking right now. So question, is it wrong for me to assume on the internet that chatters are they, them, unless they tell me otherwise?
I use it because whenever I don't know someone's pronouns, I use they, them.
Yeah, I use they, them as a default until further instruction.
Mm-hmm. So they, them is they, them. Brooklyn.
They, them.
The Brooklyn in me, even though I'm not even from Brooklyn, is coming out. Hold up. They, them is the perfect default because at the end of the day, they, them is considered non-binary. In other words, you're not
gender neutral.
Exactly. So it's a neutral term to use when you don't know someone's gender in chat. It's a default, it's a neutral and default thing to look at. So it's not offensive in any way, nor is it like wrong for you to assume that. In fact, using they, them is a neutral thing. And honestly, if they tell you, hey, I am a woman, you could address me as she, or hey, I am a man, you can address me as he, then you can start addressing them as such because they have told you their pronouns. There's some streamers that usually ask what your pronouns are beforehand because they also want to just like know immediately so they're not disrespecting. Or if you're like me, who's a sneaky son of a bitch who decided to use a stream elements chat bubble type thing that reveals someone's pronouns on screen for me to see, that works for me too because I get to see exactly what their pronouns are and what they go by.
Yeah, and also, like, just to reiterate, like, someone's gender does not equate to pronouns. So, like, someone can identify as a woman, but prefer they, them pronouns.
Kevin Bacon is kind of has a new movie coming out called They/Them, and it's about it's a slasher horror film set at a queer summer camp.
Ooh. That might be the one horror movie I watch, because I don't watch horror.
I mean, most modern horror is tongue-in-cheek horror comedy these days.
Oh, that is true.
especially indie horror.
Whatchamacallit, Nat Spectrum has a beautiful pun slash dad joke for me, which I love. What did the non-binary prospector say? There's gold in them there hills.
Not me about to headcanon the prospector from Inscription Binary now.
I wish that my soundboard worked on your fucking stream.
Hey, Blacksplate, that's definitely okay. Like, it's okay to continue using they, them pronouns, because again, it's neutral. It works out a lot better because it's a neutral terminology to use. Like, for example, it's the same thing if I met someone who has like an androgynous look and I would not know how to address their pronouns immediately, so I would refer to them as they, them. And honestly, just for the record, anyone can be misgendered by accident.
Yeah.
Anyone can be mind you, I can tell you this right now. We've at least at one point in our life misgendered somebody by accident.
It's how you correct yourself.
Exactly. Like, mind you, there are times that I misgender my friends every now and then, rarely, and it's because I'm talking in a panic. But then I always end up caressing myself. For example, I have a friend that
Caressing yourself?
Correcting. See, do you see what I'm talking about now?
Caressing yourself for after stream, that's against the terms of cervix.
But cervix?
I said what I said.
But at the end of the day, like I said before, like there's at least been one point or another where we've misgendered somebody by accident. And my friend, who, by the way, looks very feminine, she goes by, they go by, see, look, I corrected myself right now. They go by they, them. And, you know, they appear feminine, but they go by they, them pronouns. And as you just saw me correct myself as I was describing femininity, but the only reason why that she, her came out was because of the fact that I was regarding feminine clothing. It wasn't on purpose, nor was it like done out of disrespect. And I even corrected myself. And there you go.
And it's also like with older gays, you know, the gay she.
Yeah. That.
You know, but the older affectation, like a girl, cis, bestie, queen, yas, where everything is a feminine pronoun for a lot of really, I don't know how to say it, but affectational gayness.
Yeah. It's kind of like your way of saying, it's like buddy, pal. It's kind of like the flamboyantly gay way of saying buddy, pal, friendo, hey, bro. It's kind of like,
yeah.
When you say queen or cis, it's kind of like the gay version of friend, bro, broskies.
Like, I have a lot of trans male friends, and the older one, who's transitioned for almost a decade now, he's like, oh yeah, when another gay man calls me she, her, or cis, or queen, I think, oh, I'm just one of the guys. I've made it. But I have a younger trans mask friend who is still transitioning and is very, very newly transitioning, and he's not there yet. Mm-hmm. And I can respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
normally when I get people in chat who are new for the first time and I don't know what their pronouns are, like we've been talking, I refer to them they, them. And normally I don't bombard them with the question immediately upon them joining, because I don't want to scare them away, you know? Like oh, you just followed, never seen your name before. In, tell us how you're doing, blah. And then if they continue the chat, then I ask the question of like, oh, so by the way, what are your pronouns? I don't gender you. Like, I don't want to scare them immediately by asking a questionnaire to chat in my chat.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're giving the chatter an exam. Like, okay, write your name down and your gender and your pronouns. I must know specifically.
And we need one interesting fact about you.
One fun fact that the people don't know. And I also have, like, I don't know if Black Spidey point redeems or channel redeems yet. But one of my very low costing redeems is pronoun check, which gives everybody in chat the opportunity to give their pronouns, especially like if we have a big raid or if there's a lot of new people in chat or just so that's something you could also put in your streams, as well as it's just like a way for like possibly one of your mods to initiate that, like, oh hey, we're doing a pronoun check, to get to kind of encourage that inclusivity and getting to know without directly asking, if you feel uncomfortable with directly asking.
I might actually
But then
steal
it's
that
up
from
to
you.
them. It's if they want to give that information.
I might actually steal that from you.
Steal away, my friend. Why fix the wheel if it ain't broken?
Exactly. Only reason why I say this is because, like, as much as I love the plugin for people's pronouns, not everyone uses the pronoun extension that's given on Google. So it's difficult for everyone to have their pronouns on the chat, especially if they don't use the extension.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it still works out in the long run. Like, I'm just happy how it works. It works for, like, the initial situation, but a pronoun check will definitely work well on this. But yeah, that's all of my questions, and we've answered a few chat questions, and we got to talk about something very very homosexual, and I love it. Thank you.
Yes.
We got to talk about something very queer. So, final thoughts from starting with Lucy.
I thought I am the final thought, or are we spelling it differently? No, just make gay boring again. And give me more daddy queer characters, not just these pretty boys.
That's fair. It's fair. Aaron?
I would love to see some games where, sure, conflict needs to happen in order to make a story exist. But give me some fucking good games where you have some conflict, but the characters are happy. And the conflict is just them arguing over who's going to do the dishes after a dinner or some shit. Like, just give me some comfort, some comfy queer, if you will. Like, I just want the comfort. Don't stereotype your characters either if you decide to make video games, y'all.
Also, question, what were you about to say, Lucy, beforehand?
I said, I got nothing.
Oh, you got... Well, like I said before, to piggyback on what Lucy said earlier, which was make queer boring again. Let's like exactly what we just said. Like, let's normalize it a lot better. Let's not make it like this big crazy thing. Like, I know we're in a state where essentially we need more representation, or we need safety measures for our group altogether, for our community. But we also need that situation where it's not heavily celebrated or heavily, like, scorned upon, because the day that we are able to normalize things is the day that we finally make a change in our shitty world that we have right now. And that's something I look forward to, when we can finally just, like, treat shit like normally, because, again, like, we get tired of this nonsense where we can't do the bare minimum without being scoffed at. And that's the upsetting part right there. Like, we can't do the bare minimum. Like, we want the bare minimum. We want the bare minimum for a lot of things. Like, it's only fair. And yeah, that was all the shit that this bear had to say for a lot of things. Like, I got words, I said them, and yeah, that's everything. That's everything that I had to say. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. It was an interesting topic, and I had so much fun just talking about it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to
Sorry for all the dick jokes.
Oh, listen. I get called out for talking about ass 24/7 on stream. I don't think a dick joke is a bad thing. You're good. You're good. Like, listen, I talk about ass, you talk about dicks, and together we have the whole anatomy. Just, there you go. Also, sometimes mouths, but mouths are a different story. Like, we know what they do. I'm gonna send it over to Declarify, who is playing a queer-centric game, Hades.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So let's send it to Declarify. This is my first time sending the raids to them ever, but I've been watching them like slowly from the background into the caves. And so we're gonna send it over to Declarify. Let's get this all going for us. Oh my god, what is... See, this is what happened. Oh wait, hold on. I got this. I just gotta stop sharing my screen. And then power should work. Oh, look at that. It worked.
Amazing.
Amazing. See what happens when you stop sharing your screen for a second and actually, like, see the things that are going on? So, I'm going to get the raid ready. And, also, we're going to look at this cat, this beautiful kitty, this baby.
Does the baby have a name?
Oh, yes. His name's Kalu.
Oh.
It's Sinhali for Black, the woman that rescued him from Sri Lanka. My boss helped trap him under... he lived under the English building, and so she traps and rescues and neuters, and then releases the strays back on campus. But this one, she said she wanted to find a home, and now he lives with me.
Aww.
Yep, that's where we go for it. Listen, you gotta respect the process of the kitties. The second that they live in your home for even 1 minute, everything is theirs now. That's how this works. Okay? All the furniture, all the money, all of the food, just, it's theirs. No questions asked. Also, I just realized my Mix-It-Up bot was not on this whole time, so all my alerts were off. And
Yikes.
like I said, I'm still in vacation mode.
No shame.
Like, I'm still in vacation. I just got back from doing my vacation. So it's kind of like, oops. I forgot to put things correctly. Oh, there we go. See, we got one. We got one of our beautiful raid calls in. But we got this. For anyone who is a subscriber, there you go. That is the sub thing, and for anyone who is not a subscriber, it's totally fine. You have the Retro Bear Cave Club conga line. Just coming on in. We love a good conga line. Anyway, guys, we're gonna call it a day. 8-bit love to all of you. Bye. Oop.